You can see how wonderful Steve is. He has been so wonderful for Martin's office. And muchísimas gracias a los cantantes. Muy bien. That was a beautiful song. Turning 40 today, in fact. Martin is a couple weeks away, so I have a couple weeks of wisdom over him. And I was particularly happy that he chose not to tell our 5-year-old what he got me for my birthday, because we learned when our older son was 5 that they absolutely cannot keep secrets. And one day we were driving by the shoe store when Carter was 5, and he said, "Daddy is not getting you shoes for your birthday." So I suddenly knew what I was getting for my birthday. This year he didn't tell them. Very smart. So turning 40 has made me very just contemplative, and I've been thinking a lot about our lives and our children. And so I sat down at the computer and I wrote a letter about Martin. And some of you have received it via email. Went out today because you told me about it. But it was simply my version of Martin's strengths. No one told me to write this, nobody guided me or told me this was the most politically beneficial thing to emphasize, just my thoughts. And so I just want to briefly share some of those with you. One is, I love about Martin that he's very smart and that he understands science. If elected to the U.S. Senate, he will be the only engineer in the U.S. Senate. And I think that his comprehension, understanding of technical interests, of technical issues has really guided him in representing Congressional District 1. It's Indian National Labs, Kirtland Air Force Base, and statewide, would include Los Alamos. He's visited most of the major employers in the congressional district, and many of them focusing on alternative energy. And his staff share this funny story where they will often go, let's say it's an engineering firm, and one of the top engineers will begin to tell Martin about this particular process. And then they suddenly realize that Martin understands. And they're not used to it. And she describes the glow in their eyes as they're able to get more and more technical. And Martin's following right along with them and answering all the right questions. And just the happiness that he brings to the faces of scientists. It's a very sweet story. Also, I think particularly beneficial at this time, energy crisis rising, and our country needs to focus on alternatives to fossil fuels. And so that knowledge will be so crucial in the U.S. Senate. The other thing I talked about in the letter was how I feel like Martin really knows who he is, and he has very strong convictions. The lens through which he sees the world and the struggles of working class families is based upon his own family, his own working class family. And he was expected as a kid to work in the house, to clean, to cook, to work in the garden, and he still does not like cabbage. He ate too much cabbage as a child, and I know he got this work ethic from his mother, because I was just on the phone with her recently, and she said, "I just got done canning 10 jars of sauerkraut." This is where he gets his work ethic. But it has served him well. He's developed this reputation as being one of the hardest working, in DC, as one of the hardest working members of Congress, and I think that would absolutely carry over to the Senate. So actions speak louder than words. A lot of candidates tell you they're hardworking. Actions speak louder than words. I've also seen him in the strength of his convictions, when advisors tell him to do something that he doesn't believe in, he absolutely tells them no. He's fearless, and he also has very regularly invited individuals from opposing political views to sit on panels with him, because he's not afraid of alternative viewpoints. And I really admire that strength in him, that leadership in him. Lastly, I wrote about how Martin serves others. And I have this personal example where one day Martin came home and it was very late, 10 o'clock at night. He'd had a full day and political events into the evening. He came home and the swamp cooler, in the middle of this heat, this awful heat we had this summer, the swamp cooler was down. And I fully expected him to just say, "Oh, can you call someone in the morning?" But he didn't. He got in his truck, he turned around, went to find parts, and spent much of the night on the roof. Bless his heart. And to me it happened, you know, I know it's just a small personal story, but it happened at a moment when I was wondering, can we handle this? Can he handle running for the Senate at the same, and also not forget about us, his family? And he demonstrated to me that he could. Despite his fatigue, he didn't think of himself, he thought of us, and that was really meaningful to me. And in the same way, as I've seen him grow over time, I've never seen that Martin is the type of person that's driven by ego, and I know that's really hard to believe because a lot of elected officials really thrive off of the handshakes and the speeches and the television appearances, but Martin is truly driven by a desire to serve others, and I find that rare. I think men like Martin are rare. So with that, I'd like to introduce my husband, who's also turning 40. And thank you.
How about a big round of applause for Julie? Since today is literally Julie's birthday, and she has heard my stump speech 413 times, I thought I would just share a few things with all of you. When I get around to my birthday, I really just think about what I'm thankful for. And I want to say how incredibly thankful I am that I have this incredible wife, better than frankly I ever deserved, and who has really, and when she talks about me multitasking, coming home at the end of the day and working on the swamp cooler, you realize that she got up at 6, got on the computer because the kids weren't up yet, did an hour's worth of work, packed their lunch, fed them breakfast, got them off to school, went to work, spent the day there, came home, picked up the kids, took them to Chinese, took them to all the different things that they're going to do, come home, and then I roll home after I get off the plane, and I come in at 10 o'clock at night. So really, she is an incredible rock for my family, and I am very grateful not only to her and of her, but to our kids, who, thank goodness, think this is normal. Because I can't imagine if you started this, when your kids are 10 years old and they've never been to the parades, they've never thought it was normal to hop in the car on Saturday morning and drive to Las Cruces and back for 2 meetings. And that is the life that they've known since we literally campaigned door to door with Carter in the baby Bjorn on the front when I was running for city council. Micah was a toddler, and Carter was maybe 4 or 5 when I first ran 4 or 5 years ago for Congress. And they have been remarkably well adjusted given the lifestyle that they lead as well. And lastly, I want to say how thankful and grateful I am to all of you, because you make it possible for us to do this. And we could never do it without the incredible amount of support that you have shown for our service and for our family. And I want to say a special thank you to all the Mondragon brothers, because one, I can't sing. You know what? And one of them who's not here tonight, Peter, actually lives across the street from us. So when Ramon or Fred aren't singing for us, Peter is in the neighborhood, and looking out and bringing warm food over when Julie's been too busy and too tied up to cook. So I want to say a special thank you tonight to all of the Mondragon family for the incredible support of the last few years.
Roberto is also a great.
And Roberto, who is also an incredible singer, by the way. It's, the genetics alone in this family are incredible. I want to mention one other thing today, because, you know, in these times, oftentimes it's too far in between the things that we get really excited about, that we're grateful about in government today, because we have a lot of people who think that not doing anything and spending 9 months arguing about not doing anything is productive. I don't share that view. You know, we fought for 9 months just to keep the lights on at a time when we ought to be investing in jobs and manufacturing and education and all those things that make our country stronger. But I had a great day today because Secretary of Interior Ken Salazar was in Albuquerque today. And since I got elected back in 2008, we've been working trying to create a new National Wildlife Refuge in Albuquerque South Valley. And for those of you who know the North Valley today and knew it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, how much it's changed, how little, how whole properties that used to be cottonwoods and agriculture and those things just have disappeared. We were able to announce today the creation of the Middle Rio Grande National Wildlife Refuge, a new urban wildlife refuge on 570 acres of land, the former Price's Dairy that belonged to the Price family in the South Valley. The best part about it is we had whole classes there from Mountain View Elementary, from Rio Grande High School, and this is going to be a refuge where hands-on experiential education is going to be central to the experience, bringing all those kids who don't have enough time outdoors. I joked at the press conference that I've never been a big fan of No Child Left Behind, the program, but I'm a big fan of No Child Left Inside. And that's what this refuge is going to be all about.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being part of our birthday. This is also our end of quarter celebration, which is another good reason to celebrate. We've had an incredibly productive summer, full of incredible support, lots of endorsements, lots of wonderful people coming and helping us make all of this possible. And so thank you for coming tonight and being part of this. We're going to stick around for a while and hope to get a chance to thank each and every one of you individually for what has been a fantastic double birthday. And we're going to need some help with these cakes. So if you'd like to come up and join us, we're going to start in on the cakes right now. No?